leaving?
Nah, Daniel's the president.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Lynn though. I help run the
Hector.
club. Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for coming out.
Yes, sir. How can I get a title?
So we haven't really done much.
Is there like a source
Usually
code
we
I
just
got
you just
downloaded?
sign in, dude,
Okay.
and then that's it. Are you in the Discord?
No.
All right, yeah, I'll get you in the Discord, and then that's pretty much it. We just have these meetings.
Okay.
And if you want, I mean, we have positions available to like run the club. So anything crazy, anything you want to do, you can. But yeah, that's about it, man. And then we just got two new guys. Jonathan is our A-Bret.
Jonathan, Hector.
Hello.
Oh, I think you're one of my classes.
Yep.
Oh, Sys 3 should be.
Yep. And then Daniel's our president.
Nice to meet you, Daniel, Hector.
And then me and Alex are like secretaries.
Okay.
And Zach just left, and he's our treasurer.
Okay. Right on, man. That's
And
cool.
that's pretty much it for now. That's what we do. We haven't really started any projects today. We were just gonna, I guess, get on, continue some HTML stuff, and then possibly do an interactive map with an algorithm to pass.
show you quickly. Yeah. It's sign here.
But I don't know. Are you working on it, dude, or is Alex doing that?
Not today. We're just doing the HTML, CSS, JavaScript. But this is what we're working towards. You can see ARC has this little box compared to our. Right now, we just have PDF. So just as a small project, we're going to be working on this little Dropbox where you can put two buildings, and then it'll find you the shortest route between. So today we're using HTML, CSS, and then Gideon, which is our advisor, is going to be teaching JavaScript. So, yeah. I'm just waiting for. I did a little bit. No, we're all doing. I just done this. Cool. Thank you.
You have Gideon?
Yes, sir.
Oh, you
I'm in
do?
class with Jonathan, right?
Oh, nice. You guys all got dragged here by Gideon?
No. You said if you want to film.
We were bribed.
Yeah,
You were bribed. What was it, 10 points?
Yeah.
I can brought the project on my resume.
There you go. Oh, yeah, that's you. I mean, well, yeah, we have the hackathons coming up, so. There's always opportunity, man. Like this one in Folsom is with NASA Space Apps, and it's gonna be more of like a youth event, kind of, so it's like high schoolers and stuff.
Sort of been delayed in my programming, so I was barely learning for JavaScript. Did a little Python earlier in the day. Hackathon.
I mean, you don't have to, I mean, it's like, it's not like only, you can go admission, you just hang out.
Okay.
Not to participate. But, yeah, and then there's stack hacks coming up.
I like to participate.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna trophy one day.
Gotta get in there, man. I mean, that's the only way to get in there. I guess.
All right, welcome in, everybody. We'll probably get started now.
Help me set up the Discord.
It's
Oh, yeah, sure.
pretty late. Here's just a tentative schedule for today. We're just gonna be working on HTML, CSS, and afterwards Gideon will be working on the JavaScript workshop, and then we'll hold a little discussion on what our plans are for the next coming weeks.
You use it on your phone or on your computer?
This Google slide is something I'm gonna start implementing, but it's still in the works, so there's gonna be unfinished slides. But I plan to keep you guys updated on upcoming events. So we have Sac State Winter Hacks. Please sign up for that. It's so local.
What's your
Like,
Discord name?
there's no downsides to it. UC Davis, there's an internship panel that we sent a link to. I believe the last day to register was yesterday. So hopefully you guys did that. UC Berkeley, CalHax, it's quite a drive. I wish I could have went, or I wish I could go, but it'll be pretty crazy probably. NASA Hackathon, Lynn has more information on that than I do, but that is also a local one in Folsom. I'll keep this list updated every week as much as I can.
Yeah, sorry.
Any relevant tech news or anything that any of us wanted to showcase will go in here in the future. This is what we're going to be working on today. So, yeah, we can just jump right in. If everyone, I'm going to be using Visual Studios, but just make sure you guys
Yeah, so I was trying to do.
aren't using whatever IDE you guys want to use.
You can write HTML and CSS and JavaScript in any text editor, like Notepad will work. So Visual Studio lets you organize it pretty nicely, but it really doesn't matter what you have available.
All right, so let's see. We're gonna start off with creating a new folder on your desktop. I'm gonna call it HTML-CSS-workshop. And empty folder, okay. Open up your IDE of choice. I'm going to be using Visual Studio. From here, you want to open, click open, and then route to whatever folder that you just created. And you should see the name of the folder right here. And what we want to do now is add a new file. We can call this whatever we want. I'm going to call it The only important part is that you have to end this with a .html. So it'll open this. And now you'll see in your folder a new file. Right click it and click open with Google Chrome. Hopefully you guys have Google Chrome. And you'll see this is a blank page, right? So I'm just gonna walk through, run through the very basics of HTML. The most common elements, I guess, is start with your button, and you'll see that it automatically for us, this is like the closing line. And then whatever we put in here, so let's just say test run. We save it, so I hit Control S. If we refresh here, you'll see test button pops up. Pretty basic.
To talk a little bit more about that, HTML is primarily comprised of these tags, which are in the caret brackets. And so you see, it's essentially HTML is a big old page of opens and closes of these tags. So you start with, caret brackets and the thing you're opening, and then to close it, it's just the same thing but with a slash. So you see up there we have the button tag, and then at the end of it, the slash button to end button. And whatever's in the middle is what belongs in the button, in this case just text.
And it's common practice to have it kind of sandwiched like this, just so it's more organized.
I mean, depending on the element and how big it is, you can either have it all on one line, like you had it before, or separate it more like code with the indentation.
So another tag that we're going to learn about is P, which just stands for paragraph. this is a line of text. Save it. All very basic. No, there's nothing you can interact with. Well, you can press the button, but nothing happens, right? So that'll come later. So P is for paragraph.
Is everybody able to open up and display an HTML file like this? Everybody at least got this far?
How do you do in Visual Studio, like Microsoft?
Well, you kind of, the thing is, the HTML doesn't run directly in Visual Studio. Visual Studio is just what you're using to edit the text. So Daniel's got his HTML open in Visual Studio over there.
Oh.
Is that Visual Studio or is that VS Code?
Yes, no, this is the Mac, right? There's no Visual
Well,
Studio.
either way, it's just a text editor.
Oh, okay.
So I've got mine open in Visual Studio right now. There's no project, there's no run button.
Can't you
You're just using it to edit text, and when you save it, the file is saved, and then you can just double-click the file in your computer, and it'll open up in a web browser.
Yeah, you don't even need Visual Studio, right? You just use Word.
Oh, yeah, you
Notepad.
don't need Visual
You
Studio.
can use Notepad to
Yeah.
type those things in and then save it as .html and double click it. Your browser should open it, right?
Yeah.
But there are features that these,
Well, yeah, using an IDE
Like,
gives you all the perks.
features.
Gives you all the
Sure,
perks of
yeah.
the IDE, but.
But if he types in those things, saves it as HTML, it'll run,
Yeah,
right?
you don't need, there's no HTML and consequently CSS and JavaScript. They all just run in the browsers. Every browser can run them. So as long as you've got Google Chrome or Firefox or any of them, you can run HTML and JavaScript. So really you just need a way of editing text. Most IDEs will let you edit text, and Visual Studio, lets you organize the files. VS Code lets you see all the files on the left. But again, it's all just a way of editing the text. To run it, you just save the file and then open it up, double click it to open it in a web browser. If you already have it in the web browser, you just hit refresh.
all right, and as kind of a side note, from what I watched, they said it's common practice for indentations in HTML to be 2 spaces. Can I get a confirmation on that?
Indentations to be 2 spaces?
Yeah, like tabs.
Well, a tab is usually 4 spaces, 4 or 5.
Yeah.
The
It doesn't matter.
Every system has different indentation. You can go into your IDE and change how big the indentation is. It is common to indent them. Your preferred size of indentation is probably going to be the default, and if it's not, you'll probably have your own number that you'll figure out anyway.
So
Just indenting them at all.
the next tab we're gonna do is caret A. I believe this stands for anchor, or
I think so.
I'm not sure what it actually stands for, but basically this creates a link. So if you type this is a link, save it. It doesn't have anything like attached to it yet. So what we can do is space. So inside the first caret, we do a space href equals, and then inside the quotation, you can put what you want this anchor to link to. So for example, I'm going to do YouTube. You have to copy the same URL. Don't just type youtube.com. And then if you save this, you'll see, now if you click it, it'll take you straight to YouTube. However, you'll notice that when I clicked it, it opened on the same tab, and so a way to change that is still in the first caret, after the quotations, you can type in target, and I think it's equals underscore blank. And if you save this, refresh again, and you click it, now it'll open in a new tab. All right?
Is it underscore blank or underscore black?
Oh. Blank. Yeah, target equals quotations underscore blank. Another, let's see. Another thing you guys will realize is spacing. How do I explain? HTML doesn't
It shortens white space.
yeah. there you go.
So if Daniel adds a bunch of extra spaces in between the text, it's all just gonna be shrunk down. So if it's like this space, 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 space is, space, that still ends up just appearing as this is a line of text.
Yeah.
By default, it doesn't maintain the spacing.
So, as you guys can see, it's very basic. This is like, you know, nothing can happen. Yeah, you can write a link. Like you can link to a separate website, but very basic. There's no style to it, and that's where CSS comes from. So, a lot of the times HTML and CSS will work hand in hand because CSS is the way to style these HTML elements in order to make them actually like appear nice, right? So we'll move on to that now. So we can create a new file. We can call this button exercise .html. And we will be replicating these buttons, all right? So, YouTube, and I think this is from Twitter. So,
Okay, subscribe.
let's do the button again and subscribe. Save it. Oh, you have to open the new file. So, button exercise. Go back to your folder.
Yeah.
Should be button exercise now. Again, open it to Google Chrome.
We have to put it, change it to .html.
Now to introduce CSS, you type *style. And oh wait, I can show you guys. So this is what we're basing our lesson on today. So to target the subscribe button that we just created, we do button and then open brackets. And now we can start changing the style of it. So for example, if we do background dash color, we can change. We want it to be red, right? So just do red and then introduce the semicolon. We it's red. To change your font, you just, the color of the font, you just do color, white, right? Now it's white. We can add height to it. Now everything is in pixels, so we'll learn quickly that CSS is a lot of trial and error. So for example, we'll start off with 50 pixels, save it, refresh it, and that's probably too big, so let's go back 35 pixels, save it, refresh it, probably too small, let's do 40. That looks good enough. Width, let's do 110. A little bit bigger, 115, 125. That looks pretty good. Now we can, let's see. You'll notice there's a border, and we don't want a border, so let's do border none. Save it. Got rid of that. And you'll also notice the corners are a little bit rounded in this one. And to change that one, we do border dash radius. And let's do 3 pixels. Save that. And
Yeah.
now the corners are rounded.
Gee.
The color difference is a little bit noticeable. So to make it closer, and I will teach you guys how to make the colors exactly the same in a little bit. But if you hover over your background color right now, you can scroll down and choose a closer color, and then it'll automatically, if you save it, change it for you. And these are in RGB. Everyone knows RGB, right? Okay, RGB values. So that one's close enough, pretty good. We will notice a problem when we try and create our next button though. So our next button will be join. And when we save this and refresh, you'll notice that because our style targets just all buttons right now, they're both the same. So how do we change that? So now we want to introduce what's called classes. If Gideon can talk a little bit about classes.
So essentially, when you say a class, in HTML at least, this is not the same as a class in object-oriented programs. Essentially, a class is just a, what's the good word for it? A grouping of elements in your HTML. So you can set multiple elements to have the same class or different classes, and then apply this styling to one class or multiple classes and essentially keep them separate. So the problem here is we were applying the formatting to all buttons instead of having a different formatting for each button. So what we can do instead is give each button its own class and then apply the formatting to anything of that class. And so then each one will have its own formatting.
So to do that, go to your subscribe button, and then before the first caret, you can type class equals quotations, and then we can just call this class subscribe button. Alright, and then to target that class, instead of targeting all buttons like this, we do dot subscribe dash button. And then if we save it and refresh, you'll notice the join is no longer accompanied by these attributes. So now instead, we can go to dot, let's create another class for our join. So class equals quotations join dash button. And let's create a new target. So dot join dash button with the open squigglies. And so we'll be doing the same thing now. So background color, this time it's going to be white. Save it, refresh. Color is the font, or is the text inside. This is going to be somewhat blue, so let's start with blue. Border dash color is also going to be blue. Save it, refresh. Let's make the height the same height as our subscribe button, so let's do 40 pixels. Width, maybe 80. Save it, see what it looks like. You'll notice if you look at the join button, the top of the border is lighter than the bottom of the border. It's kind of like it looks kind of like a shadow. So to get rid of that, it is border style solid. And that will get rid of that. Again, with the border radius, let's do, again, 3 pixels. It looks a little bit thicker than the one we're trying to make it look, so border width, we can do 1 pixel. All right. And what else? Oh, I guess now's a good time to introduce. So another use for inspect element is if you guys click computed, so under these tabs there will be styles, computed, layout. If you click computed and then click this little arrow right here, select an element in the page to inspect it, and then hover over the join button, you'll see like all the HTML information, and it's all given. So for example, border color is this exact RGB value. So you can just copy this value and then paste it into here, and they will be exactly the same. If you add the semicolons. Save it. Little difference. You'll also notice there's more space in between each of the buttons. So one way we can fix this is to add a margin, and let's add it to our subscribe button. So margin dash right, maybe 8 pixels. Save it. And you'll see it added that margin. There's another attribute called padding, which, so for margin, it created space outside of the element, right? But for padding, it will create space within the element. So if we did padding dash right, and let's say we did 15 pixels and saved it, you'll notice the subscribe is pushed to the left because now there's 15 pixels of space inside the element. But get rid of that. Something else you'll notice is when we hover over these buttons, nothing changes, but when we hover over these, first of all, our cursor is changed, So let's do that. You'll also notice all three of the buttons are changed into cursors. So instead of adding one, the same line of code into each of our styles, why not just take advantage of classes? And so instead we can create just a button class and then say cursor, change it to pointer. Does that work? I don't think that works. Wait. I don't think that works. Never mind. Forget I said that. Because, so that would work, but we only want it to happen when we hover over the button, right? So another thing we can do is dot subscribe dash button, and then this time we added colon hover. So now anything inside this module only happens when we hover over the subscribe button. So now we can do cursor pointer. So now if we save it, you'll see nothing changes, but then when we hover over it, now we have that little pointer. Now is, I guess, a good time to introduce what HTML, I guess like the original syntax is supposed to look like. So on top of all, I'm not sure all, but I would say most files is the doc type. Is that all of them?
All modern ones, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So this just introduces a lot of features, right?
Yeah, you're effectively marking the file as actually being HTML, and specifically HTML5, which is the modern one.
So on the very top of your file, type in exclamation mark doc type space HTML. And then behind, or underneath that, we can do HTML, just like this. And then you're telling, so in these two lines, or in these two characters, you're telling the computer, this is what the HTML, like everything inside here is going to be HTML. So now let's create a head and a body. So the difference between a head and a body is everything that is inside the body is what actually shows up on the page. So for example, all our buttons, these two buttons over here, we can just cut it and paste it inside the body. We want to format it better, like that. And everything inside the head is styles and things like that. So another thing that we can do is, for example, title. We can call this HTML/CSS workshop. And when we save this, you'll notice once you refresh, the top of your website will be called whatever is on the title. All of our style can also go, since it's not actually a physical thing on the page, cut this and put it inside the head as well. And now if you are using, I'm not sure if Visual Studios has the live extension feature.
It probably has something like it, but not by default.
Okay. So there's an extension that a lot of people use. I think it's literally called live extension. I already have it downloaded, but what it does is instead of having to refresh the page every time, you can just once you save it, it'll automatically show up on the page. So, if you guys do see that extension, go ahead and download that. And I already have it downloaded, so I'll be using that from now on just to save a little bit of time. Once you have it downloaded, you can right-click your file, and then you'll see Open with Live Server. So notice it's the same page, but now when I do something like join button, instead of the background color being white, make it green. Once I save, it'll automatically
Where do you like that?
go to green. So let's preview that.
I had AI.
You'll notice also in the inspect element, it'll show you like, so there's padding, right? If I hover over, the padding is the inside of the element. The margin is it's showing to the right 12 pixels. You can see that 12.
Take a picture of that.
Let's see what else.
what?
The old poster.
Oh, we have it in Discord.
Another thing we can add to the subscribe button, when we hover over it, on this one you can see it kind of changes lighter. So there's also a opacity function that you can change. So you can do, so opacity goes from 0 to 1. So 1 being, I believe 1 is just normal. And then if we do 0, it will be completely on. So let's do like 0.8. Save that. And now pretty soon. Okay, let's quickly do the tweet button. So, general practice is you create the HTML button or the HTML element first, and then you work on the CSS for that specific element before moving on to the next one. So let's create button tweet. Make a new class. Class equals tweet dash button. Let's target it in our style section. Dot tweet dash button. Open curly brackets. Oh, save it first. Join button. We can add some margin to it again. 8 pixels. All right. Let's start off. Background color. Let's do the inspect element again so we can get it perfect. So again, make sure you're on the computed tab, click this little pointer, click the element. You'll see background color is this specific RGB value. And paste it, and it will be exactly the same. Let's get rid of the border. By doing none. Let's make a height of 40 pixels again. Let's make a width of, I don't know, 100. That's pretty good. The color inside the words is just color, so white. And to make it circular like that, we just have to increase our border radius value. So border dash believe the convention is half of the smaller value of either the height or the width. So let's try 20 pixels. And that looks pretty good. You'll notice that the font is on this tweak button is bolded. So we can do that by font weight, bold. It's a lot bigger as well, so font size, let's do 15 pixels. A little bit. Let's make it a little bit bigger, maybe 18. Okay, maybe a little bit shorter, 80 pixels. 85. All right, so that's pretty similar. A lot of this stuff you won't memorize. I know I for sure don't have it memorized. It's all Googleable, so like how to make font bold, how to make corners rounded, like all of that, it will literally be the first like result that pops up. It'll tell you how to do it. So let's see what else did I have. Is everyone following along with it? Yeah.
Do you have any questions on the pieces that we're putting together here?
How did you get that live view thing?
Yeah, so that was an extension through my VS Code.
Yeah, I have it.
So you can go into this tab right here, extensions, and then if you search into, I think it's literally called live extension. So if you just type in live extension, you can have it downloaded.
Is it a live preview?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this one right here. My server. And then once you have that downloaded, you can just go back to your file. You can close out of whatever tab you're using, and then right click here, and then there should be an option open the file. Yeah, anyone else have any questions? Let's see. Yeah, so another pseudo class, it's called a pseudo class, right? The hover that I showed, another pseudo class is active, and active only happens when you actually click the button. So you'll see when I click it, its opacity turns down. It's just the same way that you would do any other. The syntax is instead of .subscribe hover, it's active. I'll send this PDF. I found it very helpful, so I'll send it on the Discord as well. Let's see. Yeah, so padding is on the inside of the element. Padding is on out. You can do, I don't see the reason why, but you can do a negative value of the margin and it'll pull towards the element. this is how you do change fonts. So font family, you're using Arial in this instance. I showed earlier the bold, change the font size is 30 pixels. Another way to make it bold, because the font weight is just a value, so bold is equivalent to 700. So if you set the font weight to 700, it will also be bold. So in that sense, you can also make it 500, which is semi-bold. 400 is regular, you can make it thinner. 900 is make it like extra bold. There's a lot more. So in this video that I watched, his final project was recreating YouTube, and it was honestly really interesting. So I highly recommend you guys to watch it as well. You'll see here, this is how you make images appear onto your site. It's just image source equals and then whatever the file name is. In the same way that href is. So this is how you go into file paths too. So this is the first folder, and then you divide that, or you like separate that with the slash. So now you're telling the computer to go inside that folder. So now you're in folder 2. You go inside that folder and you find styles.css. All right, so div is a very important element in HTML, and essentially what it is it's a container. So it's how you make all. So if you look at YouTube, please don't judge my homepage, guys. So let me. Oh, this is the one I watched.
Dang.
So if you look
What I missed, G?
in just this picture alone, this was all created with HTML and CSS, at least like the display element was. So you'll notice if I insert this is nothing more than, oh, how do I make it? How do I make it go behind the picture? Send that. Yes. Okay, if you guys notice, this right here is just an image. If we copy and paste, okay, it's not really good. This will show it better. Here we go. So So this is like the same thumbnail, right? So if you notice, there's a horizontal layout, this square right here. Inside this, there's a second horizontal layout. There's a vertical layout here, and then inside this is another horizontal layout. So to make it appear aesthetically, the websites use divs, and divs just create, they're basically containers. So if you imagine this first vertical layout as this one right here, you have all the CSS styles, and everything only applies within this one div. And then if you move further down, this second div, all the styles, all the fonts and everything like that apply into this secondary div. And so in that way you can format it. And another thing is, since there's multiple, like in the YouTube homepage, there's multiple, you can see there's multiple, like, this is one container, right? On the same line, there's the second container, there's a third container, and then all of these just imagine like the rectangles within each of these containers, and then that's how you style. Yeah. Ian, can you explain divs better than me?
A div is essentially just a container in HTML. On its own, a div is nothing. Like, it really is just used to mark out a container. So a div is really only defined by the stuff that you put in. Now, by div, I think they mean division, divider. I'm not sure on that. But it essentially, you use the divs to organize your HTML page. So you have, what you could do is you could say, instead of just styling your entire page all at once and having everything follow the same format, the idea is that you can create interesting designs by having a div that starts by organizing things vertically, and then inside of that have two horizontal divs, two divs with a horizontal spacing, and then inside of that multiple divs. And so essentially, you have to think of web pages, just in general, as squares. Squares inside of squares inside of squares, or rectangles if you want to be specific. There are rectangles inside of rectangles. I mean, the computer screen itself is a rectangle. Computers are designed to be rectangles. You can't have a circular website because such a thing doesn't exist. Like, everything is rectangles. And so a div is just a way of saying, hey, mark this space out, everything between the two div tags, div / div, as something to be formatted. And so to make all the websites you see follow these patterns, it's just divs inside of divs inside of divs with a lot of work put into the formatting. So, I mean, for example, I mentioned YouTube. Like, YouTube is essentially just, we can see, I mean, let's look at the rectangles. The whole thing is a rectangle. And then we have two rectangles, the side over here, and then the big rectangle over here. And then the rectangle holding all the thumbnails. And then, well, it's not just the thumbnails, it's also all those buttons at the top. So that's two horizontal rectangles, one holding the buttons and one holding the thumbnails. And only the one with the thumbnails has the scroll bar, because that div was given the scroll bar. And you want to be specific, I mean, there's even another rectangle up at the top to hold the header stuff, the search bar and the create button and all that. And so it's all just rectangles within rectangles within rectangles. I mean, you can even think of all these clickable things on the side as just their own rectangles. In this case, they're probably buttons of some sort. So that's what the divs are for, is to split up and organize your page. Not organize in the sense of, make it easy to read the HTML, but organized in the sense of you're able to apply the exact formatting you want to the exact elements that you want. And that's how you design something that looks, cool and professional and has all sorts of things in it, and isn't just a big box with some text smack down in the middle and nothing else.
That's quality.
I mean, you start by making big rectangles with text in the middle and nothing else, but you slowly add in more and more and more. And when it comes to making websites, it really is, as Daniel said, it is very detail-oriented and very finicky. Mess with the values until you get it looking just right. And so that's kind of the plight of the web designer is, messing with the values and changing the colors and getting it to look just right. And then if you really want to get in web design, you then change the size of your window and make sure everything still looks right. And then there's ways of having formatting for different screen sizes and screen orientations, and that's web design, baby. So, question?
Do you know how they access the, like when you hover over a YouTube video and it shows you the preview? How would they reference a video or an image
So,
to a link?
YouTube is a subset of Google, and Google is basically the kings of the internet, especially when it comes to doing fun and interesting things. So, I would say YouTube is going to be the best at it, period. Exactly how they do it, I don't know. And I bet, now I mean, you can, go to YouTube, right-click, inspect element. I have a feeling it's going to be linking to other pages, and there's JavaScript involved and all sorts of stuff. The organization of the rectangles and rectangles, enough time you can do that. You can make all the buttons. The play the video by hovering over it, that's cutting edge kings of the industry type stuff. So, have you seen anybody else do that? I guess Netflix kind of does with their stuff. But it's like, again, they have their own platform and they have millions, billions of dollars to do that. So it's cool. It's cool, but it's not something that we can just type a little bit of code and recreate in this case. Not the least of which for the reason that we don't have a video to work with. So, but yeah. So
We got video.
Videos is hard. But it can't be done. People do. You can embed videos and images and all that into websites. It's a slow growth of your skills. We're starting with the basic HTML stuff. I think most non-corporations would probably settle for embedding the video in and you click on it to play it, rather than having these thumbnails.
I just thought it was cool because I think it's within recent years that they started doing that.
Exactly. Again, they're cutting edge, the kings of what they're doing. It's like that's not something that's been around for forever. They figured out how to. You hover over a video. It's basically playing. Like it's muted, but it's playing. Like that's YouTube knows. They have the best people working on this, and it's not just one or two people. They have the best teams of people working on this. So. I do not think I would know how to accomplish that. Go ahead and try and inspect element. What does it even say? Prepare for a lot of stuff to follow, by the way, yeah. So it's YTD rich item renderer. There's like 100. So YT makes me think YouTube. It sounds like they created their own type of renderer tag inside of HTML in order to accomplish all of this.
But even in here, you can still see it's all divs.
Yeah,
And
see,
if you
there's
hover
div
over-
header, it's that, like I told you, there's one of the rectangles. So it's just rectangles and rectangles. It's just that, see, there's the content, it's organized in columns and rows, and, but it's the actual playing the video part. That's this YTD rich item renderer, which is, they have the sway to get a tag named after themselves into HTML. So that's they're able to invent what they want to put into HTML.
Can you use like XML to create your own comments?
Oh yeah. There's tools for it. If YouTube has that, that's the thing. It's not a proprietary. If YouTube's done it, you can theoretically do it yourself. It's just hard. I don't know how it works. They're using Flex stuff and all that. Yeah, I mean, look, it's things inside of things inside of things. YouTube thumbnail badge view model. YouTube thumbnail overlay badge view model. So it's,
Oh, here's the div for the,
there you go. And see, other than, I mean, that's, again, only the super high-end stuff is the playing of the video and the loading of the thumbnails from their databases, their servers. But like the organization, like I said, putting the text where it is, that's just divs. That's just a div inside of a div inside of a div. And you'll notice each one has a very long and specific class name, so that in their style sheet, they have probably hundreds of class names, each with their own very specific formatting. So they can say, all the video title text has this formatting. All the video creator names have this formatting. The views has this formatting and is in this position and that kind of thing.
yeah, my class for my subscribe button is called subscribe button. This one's YT lockup, metadata, view model, YT lockup, metadata, view model vertical, YT lockup, metadata, view model standard.
Yeah, there's, see,
That's the
there-
whole class name?
that's it. That's all in the class. That's one string.
How do you keep track of that?
You be YouTube is what you do. I bet you they have tools to put all this together. I don't know if it's AI yet, but I reckon they have their own proprietary tools to generate based on what they want it to be.
I'm gonna ask my brother, I think he does back in the, where is
Definitely.
that?
Definitely.
That's all I had though, just the basics of CSS and HTML. Without JavaScript, it is just
Like a picture?
just a picture. So JavaScript adds the interactability to these buttons and actually allows websites to do stuff. So
It's still pretty useful. Like you can make a website, you can make a nice looking website. You don't need JavaScript to do images, and you don't need, as you showed, you don't need JavaScript to do links. So you can make a pretty decent, like, personal website that has, your picture and your text about you and your contact info and some links to, I don't know, your resume, portfolio, whatever you want. So it's like you don't need to learn super deep how to get all this stuff working. It's the fiddling with colors and sizes that will take all the time.
and you can see with at least the project we're trying to accomplish, it doesn't look unfeasible,
HTML itself is very simple. They've got,
Yeah.
what is that? 2 drop downs, which are pre-built options in like all the things that you think of, like drop downs, checkboxes, the radial buttons, form fillable fields. That's all pre-built. Like you just like the button was pre-made. This is all pre-made stuff. You just have to know what it is.
Even the search bar, I know you could make that in HTML.
Yeah, that's pre-built.
The background text, that is also HTML. Once you start typing, you'll see it disappears. I'm pretty sure that's pre-built.
That's pre-built into that element.
Yeah. So,
The HTML on that screen is not complex. I think the most complex thing that they do is the fact that you can drag and drop the map. It's like you just drag around it.
this is more input.
Can you even drag around the map, or is it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's probably the most complex thing they did. And even then, that's so universal that it's still not too hard to make do. So really, the only
Yeah.
JavaScript in here is the actual take the 2 points and then draw the line. The dragging and dropping might be drawing a line. I don't know. The dragging around would be might be JavaScript.
That's all I had though. I'm excited for Gideon's workshop, so
Sure. Let's talk JavaScript.
yes.
So how do we make our images, how do we make our pages interactable? So I threw together something. Also another challenge to learning HTML/JavaScript/CSS is that there are three different things: HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. CSS being the styling and formatting. And so they're all technically their own small programming language. I mean, JavaScript is a programming language, but then HTML is a markup language, and CSS is the styling language. And so something annoying about them is that you do comments in all three.
One of my friends that's in computer programming a job, he told me to learn React.js. What is that? Is that back into
React is like a server, what do you call it? It's a hosting, no it's not, I don't know what to call it. It's something that goes into HTML and effectively does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. I don't know if it itself is AI, but it works a lot like AI in the sense that it's going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. It has its own commands that let you say, React, do this, 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 and it comes up with like a fully formed div of the style that you want. So React is the new powerful tool, but it doesn't do anything that you can't already do in HTML. Or maybe not too much. I think like the flex boxes, they do so much that you really don't want to have to do it by hand, but it's the powerful tool built upon the same base as everything else. So when someone tells you to learn React, it's because it's the fast track to being able to make good-looking websites, but it still uses, it's still going down. It uses HTML and JavaScript and all that.
You still have to learn all this, so they tell you to explain it or debug it.
Effectively. I mean, you can't just use React as a thing. It's like it's built into HTML. So like you learn HTML alongside it. Okay, so I threw something together earlier. So here's my page. I used some of the formatting like I did the hover. Look at that, wow, I made it very noticeable when I'm hovering over. And I put a text saying wow. Do you guys see the text saying wow? It's too small, right? Okay, well the button's telling me to make it bigger, so I'll press the button. Oh, there it is. It's bigger now. And I can just I can keep pressing it. It keeps getting bigger. Wow. So big. Wow. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay, it's too big. Okay. Make it smaller. Okay, I can do that. Press the button, make it smaller. Okay, perfect. Change the okay, I can do that. Press the button. Okay, cool. Wow. It makes you say wow. Look at that.
It's very 90s.
Man. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, that's too tacky. Okay, I'll change that. Okay, there you go. So, same elements that we've been talking about, but clearly there's interactivity involved. And so, let's show off what it took to make this work. Don't be intimidated. This took me an hour, where like 10 minutes, 20 minutes was like just trying to remind myself how this stuff worked for a little while. So I've got it in Open Visual Studio. So I've got three things here. I've got three files: an HTML, a JavaScript, and CSS. So first of all, let's look at the HTML. We didn't really talk about it, but these stuff highlighted in green, these are comments. So open tab, exclamation point, dash dash. So it's open, exclamation, dash dash. You see it automatically puts the end on it for me. These are just comments. So I commented things out because I plan on sharing this with you guys later, so everything's commented. So here in the HTML, this is really nothing that Daniel has already showed you. So starting at the top, doc type HTML, or the HTML, the head, here's the title of the page. I just called it JavaScript example. I included this because it was in some of my old examples, but it's not actually used here. I'm just specifying a character set. Those of you who are in my 310, we talked about character sets. We use UTF-8, which is essentially just ASCII. Then I link my style sheet. So in this case, I did not put the style in this HTML. I put it over here in styles.css. See, here's the styling that you saw before. I made a class called pressable. All the buttons are pressable. And then I made a hover for it. So the styling itself isn't all that great. And instead of putting it in a style block here, I used the link tab, just like this, link rel equals style sheet, then href equals, and then the name of my file. And that just links the style sheet here. So if you have lots and lots and lots and lots of styles like Google does, like YouTube does, then you'll have them organized in different files like this.
What is this relevant?
I don't know what it stands for, but it's required. It's saying what type of thing I'm linking to. Because this is just the link tab. You can actually link to a lot of different things. This is just the, so rel says what is it, and I'm saying it's style sheet. It is required. So link rel style sheet, href is the same as you can say for a hyperlink. In this case, just the name of my file here. And then similarly, but with a different tag, I link my JavaScript file. So I could write all of the code in this program inside of this script tag. Like you see that often is the inside the HTML script. It's just script and slash. You can write JavaScript in there. But instead of doing that, I linked it. In this case, I did script source equals code.js and left the actual tag right. So it effectively brings in my code.js file.
There you go.
That's all in the head. And in the body, it's really not that complex. I have the button that starts with, the one that says the text is too small, make it bigger. Then I have 3 divs that have nothing in them. The reason is because when you guys saw how those buttons were added procedurally, these divs hold those buttons. So I have the empty div in there. I gave the div an ID so that I can say, hey, add this new button to the div with this ID. And that's how I added the buttons procedurally. And then here's the actual wow text. I actually included, I started it at 4 pixels here in this case. So I have a little bit of styling here. So that's all in the HTML. Again, this is nothing, I mean, even those nice buttons that Daniel's put together is more than this. Question?
I see you're using ID for the names. Can you use class instead of ID, or is it?
I could, but in this case, I wanted to reference every div individually. So class and ID are essentially 2 different ways of marking a thing. Class can be shared. In this case, all of my buttons have the same class, which is pressable. Which I know you only see the one button here. The other buttons are added procedurally, and they do have the class pressable. These divs I wanted individually. So the first div receives the first button, the second div receives the second button, the third div receives the third button. So instead of making 3 separate classes, I gave them different IDs.
Are you calling a function in onClick?
Yes, good catch. So my button, it's class pressable, and I have this other tag here called onClick, and it's saying onClick grow text. And grow text is a function. Like you guys hopefully recognize functions, right? So now grow text, again, is not in this file. It's in the JavaScript file. It's linked. So when I press this button, it calls this function. It actually kind of is that simple. When the button is pressed, it calls the function that I wrote in the other file. So the HTML, nothing too complex. The style sheet, very simple. The JavaScript is going to look complex at first, but that's just because I have a lot of interactivity. It's really nothing you guys haven't seen before. So here's the whole thing. Just to give it a quick overview, at the top I have some variables, and then I have a bunch of functions. Here's grow text, and then beneath this I have shrink text, what the second button does, and then I have change text color, what the third button does, and then I have fix text color, what the fourth button does. And so we can go through how my little procedural program works. Now, one thing I want to point out about JavaScript. First of all, here's some variables called var, and here's also let. Both of them create variables, but they do it differently. The one, if you create a variable with var, it is global. Does not matter where you create it. You create it in the middle of a function, doesn't matter, it's global. Let creates local variables. So these variables that I placed out here, I wanted them to be global, so I also called them var. In this case, I could have called them let because they're outside of any function anyway, so they're essentially global. But I still used var to make them global variables. Inside the functions, I use let whenever I wanted to create a variable because that makes it local. Another thing you might notice is I just say var, give it a name, and then give it a value. or let, give it a name, give it a value. I never say a type. There's no int or char or string or anything. And that's something weird about JavaScript. There are no types in JavaScript. You just have a variable, and that variable can hold whatever you want, and in fact it can change. So I have a variable here that I assigned 1. I have another variable here that I assigned false. I have a bunch of falses. I have this variable here also assigned a number. I have this variable here with let assigned an element of the HTML. So document.getElementById text. Document is the web page, and so I say dot to get an element of that. GetElementById text, and so whatever element in the HTML that has the ID text, that's what I'm getting, and putting in the variable t. And jump back to the HTML real quick. The one with text is the actual wow text. So I'm getting the text that says wow here. Specifically, I'm getting the paragraph, the p tag. So anything in the p tag would be affected by what I'm grabbing. I just called the tag text. So in JavaScript, no types. Also, another weird thing, functions are types. You can assign a function to be inside of a variable. Like you can pass a function into another function as a parameter. JavaScript is weird like that. I think it's called something like loose typing or late typing. The terminology, I haven't used the terminologies for years since I was last in class. But it's something along those lines. It's not strict with the typing. You just say make variable. You don't say what type it is. It's not stuck as that type. I can take our color here, which is 0. I could assign it, our color gets high. And it'll be totally okay with that. It's now a string. It doesn't matter. And I don't want to do that because it's important there. Okay. So now I've got my functions. So here's grow text. That's what the first button does. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a variable called t, a local one, and I'm getting my paragraph element. And I'm getting it by the ID text. There's a couple of ways to get element. I chose to get element by ID because it's straightforward. Then I change my font size variable. This is just one of my global variables. I'll scroll up. There it is, font size. Oh, I also have a constant at the top, font size change. You say constant for constants. So my font size starts at 1, and then I just change font size by font size change, which is also 1. I experimented with different values until I got it to change in the way that I liked. Then what I say is t, which is my text element, remember. And then I say dot style to get the style of that element. And then I say dot font size. And whatever I change this to, that's like changing the style. So this is like if I went over here and changed, it's like this font size, exactly like this. Except I'm doing it via the JavaScript. T.style.font size. Get my text, get the style of that text, and then get the font size of that text style, and set it, just guess, just set it to whatever this is. In this case, I'm setting it to the variable font size, which just went up. And in this case, I'm not using pixels. I'm not using px, I'm using em. I don't remember what em stands for, but it's a standard use of measurement for text and other sizes on web pages because it's configured by the browser. So it's not always a specific number of pixels, it's configured by the browser. So essentially I'm making the text go up by 1 em, which is pretty significant, right? If I jump back to the web page. Make it bigger, that's a pretty noticeable jump every time I press the button. Then I actually print to the console. So you guys didn't see that because the console's not on the page. This is just for debug information. So actually we can see the console if I inspect element. Console. There it is. You can see all the stuff that's printing. I have console size increased to, font color changed to. So I'm printing what my program's doing to the console, but that's just for me and for you guys to see when debugging or looking at the elements. The console is not actually part of the page. So I print that to the console. And then I have my dynamic button creation. So the way I made it work is, if the font size is increased up to 10, it starts at 1 and goes up by 1 each time. So if it's greater than 10, and I haven't already created the button, this is just a Boolean. If we scroll up, here we go, size button made starts at false. So I'm just making a flag for my own program. If the font size is greater than 10 and that button has been created, I'm going to make a new button. So I use let new button get document.create element. Again, document is just the global HTML page. Tell my HTML page to make a new thing. And what am I asking it to make? A button. This is just a tag. I could have said div here if I wanted a div, but I wanted a button. Then I specify the class of the button, so it follows the same formatting as my other button. Then I set the text content. So this is the actual text in the button. You know what, that's too big. Make it smaller again, please. Then I add the listener, which is, this is what the on-click is going to be. So when this new button I'm creating is clicked, it's going to do this. So add event listener, what's it listening for? A click. What does it do when clicked? Shrink text. What is shrink text? It's my next function. So it calls that function instead. So the second button will shrink text. And then I say document, get me the element of the button holder div, remember the empty divs, here's one of them, and append child new button. Essentially what that's saying is, get my div and add into it this new element, the button. I'm essentially changing the HTML in real time by using the JavaScript. So if I actually go back and we refresh, now all of this is happening on the page while you're running it. This is not actually like on the back end on the server. So if I refresh, it starts over. If I look at my actual HTML, so if I say text is too small, make it bigger. So make it bigger, make it bigger. But if we look at button holder div right here, right now it's empty as it started. If I keep making it bigger, not now, one more. There we go. Did you see a change? Now there's something new in here. It's a button, class pressable with the new text. And it doesn't say what its on click is, but that's because I did a list. So it's actually modifying the HTML. When you say document, that's actually referencing the HTML page. So make the new button, set all of its attributes correctly, get the element by ID for the holder, and add the button to it. And then I change the flag for making sure I've already created the button. Once it's created once, I don't want to create it again. And essentially, all of my buttons are just a chain of doing this. So the third button appears after I press the second button so many times. It looks for font size less than 6, and I haven't created the next button yet. And then the final button appears after I press the color button 6 times. I just made a counter variable that counts up to 6. And then it creates the final button, and that's the end of it. Oh, and the changing the color button, I made some variables, R color, G color, B color, and I just randomized them. Math.random times 255, and then I floor it so it's not a decimal. And then I just set, so take my text, t.style.color this time, RGB with red color, green color, blue color. I just construct the string right there.
When the buttons are being made, can you change how they look through JavaScript?
Sure, just like the way I'm changing the text here. Now, I kind of don't want to mess with the buttons individually because their formatting is set by the styling in the style sheet. So I have the actual, all of the pressables are changed by this class. So, we can certainly try it.
Don't even think about it.
Can I mess with, let's say, I don't know, button number 2, shrink, button number 2, the one that's going to ask for shrink text. If I say new button dot
Gideon's dropping
style,
code right
that's
now.
how you get the style, dot,
That's what you
I
need
don't
to
know, border radius, like this, no, it's border,
website?
Here, yeah, it'll be like this, border radius like that. It's slightly different in JavaScript because JavaScript.
I'm over here like,
Like I said, one of the tricky parts with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is that those are three different things. So you have to remember slightly different syntax between the three of them.
I'm over here like.
Border radius gets
Irritated.
specified as a string. We always specify CSS stuff as strings. I don't know, 20 pixels. It's going to be very round. So now the second button should theoretically have rounded edges, very rounded edges. Make sure I save everything. And then reset this page. And press the button until the second button appears. There we go. This one has rounded edges. And only that one, because I didn't specify the code on any of the others. So this one has square edges. So you can mess with the HTML, like I'm changing the styling and the HTML itself. I'm adding elements to the HTML via the JavaScript.
So as you create that button, it would just be
Well,
button
you get
dot,
tired,
and
you
you
just
create
go,
another one, it would be
no,
button
no.
dot. It doesn't have a specific ID.
What do you mean?
It'll be like-
Oh, I see. Oh, like this.
Yeah.
So when I make the new button, I put it inside of a variable called new button. And in fact, this is local, so I actually just reuse that name in all of them. So here's another new button.
watching
Yeah,
anime?
small size new button. So it's just local. So I create my new button. I ask the document to create the new button for me. I save it in a variable just so I can keep using it. And then I say, okay, new button, change your class to this. New button, set your style to this. New button, set your text to this. New button, add a listener, so you call this, you call this function. And then document, at the very end, add this button. And then the if statement ends, and I'm no longer in scope of this variable. So it's now just added to my HTML, and I kind of don't have to reference it yet. Unless I gave it an ID, and then ask the document to get me the element by ID. I could do that.
And the child, they re-uploaded, or
it's kind of outdated.
So this is making a new button, document.create element. At this point, there is a new button, it's just not on the page. I've asked it to just make this new button object without it actually being in the HTML. It's this append child that adds the button to the page. So before this append child, there's a button somewhere in the back of Google Chrome. It has all the elements of a button, but it's not on the page, it's not visible, it's just not part of the screen yet. Then when I say append child, it says, okay, I'm putting this inside of this other element, and the other element is a div that's already on the screen. So it says, okay, I have this new thing inside of an element that already exists. So theoretically, you could add whole giant blocks of stuff on your screen. Because you could add a div, and you could have a div, an empty div in your file, and inside of that, add another div that has another div that has elements and elements and other divs and elements and elements and other divs, and append those all at once. You know, you think of it like a parent-child relationship. Each tag inside of another is essentially the child of that parent tag. So it's all sort of a hierarchy going back to the HTML. We have the full HTML. The head and the body are the children tag of that. And then title is a child tag of head. And meta is a child tag of head. And button is a child tag of body. And div is a child tag of body. And the buttons I put in there are the children of the div, which are the children of the head or the body, which are the children of the HTML. And so it displays the HTML and sort of just cascades all the way down to everything inside of it.
This is off topic, but do you teach discrete math by any chance?
I'm going to next semester.
In person?
440, yes.
In person?
No, I'm sorry. There's certain limits. I don't get full choice. So I asked for 440.
Because that abstract stuff is pretty hard to learn.
Sorry. Well, it's good news. You know Jim from the Dream Lab? He teaches 440 math. So even when I'm teaching it next semester, you can go to him and he will answer all of your questions. So that's basically all I had for the JavaScript. You guys can mess with this stuff too. I mean, it's you take the HTML that you created before, and take your buttons, say on click, put a function name, and then go write the JavaScript that has the function in it, and it'll do whatever you want. Now, a lot of the interactive elements, I will say, a lot of the interactive elements you see in HTML, most of them are pre-built nowadays, like the drop-downs, the search bars, and all that. You can code all of this stuff in JavaScript, like you could make just a blank text space and write the code for a search function in it, and have like, oh, when the user types something in, it searches. But like, you don't want to do that by hand when it's already made for you, right? So the JavaScript is just there to do the things that the pre-built stuff can't, or to do extra stuff, like add new elements. Like you can't, if you want your screen to change in real time, even then, nowadays, there's a lot of pre-built elements. It used to be, there was a time when if you wanted to make your own website, you learned HTML, and then if you wanted to do stuff, you learned JavaScript. Nowadays, you use Squarespace or something similar, right? You use a domain and hosting place to build your own websites, and their tool figures all the work out for you. But it doesn't do anything magic. It's doing this, just a lot of it.
Figma.
Yeah. All the tools, all the computer science programming, all this stuff, it's all built on the same base of knowledge. It's just all the modern tools just do more and more complicated stuff. Even AI is built on just math and objects and algorithms. It doesn't do anything magic that has never done before. It just puts together, fittingly for AI, the AI itself is just pieces of code that people have never thought to put together before and have never had strong enough computers to run before. So if you learn the base, you essentially know everything. That's the idea.
So when we tried vibe coding last semester, how does it go?
Were you here for
from
that?
prompt to
It's funny because YouTube took the video.
Right, so AI question. You know autocomplete on your phone? AI, all of it, is just the world's most powerful autocomplete. You type a question and it autocompletes a website. That's what it is. It really is just the autocomplete algorithms, but bigger and more powerful and requires giant servers. But I mean, conceptually, it really is that. And if you don't believe that, go try and find AI that'll generate something without being asked. It can't. You have to prompt it. It's autocomplete. It's crazy, sophisticated, super powerful, space age autocomplete, but it's autocomplete.
What's autocomplete?
You know, when you're typing on your phone and you type like
Oh.
H-E-L and it finishes hello, that's it. The one on your phone takes part of a word and auto-completes the rest of the word. AI takes a paragraph of text and auto-completes several paragraphs of text. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, that was cool, man. Thanks, Kitty.
Any questions about the JavaScript? I mean, I know I didn't talk about like all the basics of programming are in there. Like you see, here's an if statement. You can write a while loop, you can write a for loop, you can make an array. You can, it's like all those basics are still in here. I only talked about the stuff that's kind of new and interacting with HTML. But like functions, none of my functions have parameters, but you can make functions with parameters.
So is it common practice? So for our case, with the map, are we going to make the HTML and the CSS first, and then make sure it looks right, and then add the JavaScript to it?
Probably. It would probably be safer to do that. Only because in order to manipulate the JavaScript,
Did you push it to
what
Git?
the IDs are.
If you didn't push it to you're losing to the
Probably
European.
design, I mean, the page actually holding the map is so simple, right? So like, you have the two drop downs, which you give IDs, that way you can, in the JavaScript, read what is selected in them. And then so the user selects stuff, hits go, the go button is the function that looks in the two text boxes, reads those strings, figures out where those are on the map. At that point, it's all just like the actual page. Again, the only part that I'm not sure how to do immediately is the dragging around of the image and scrolling in and out. I think that's a prefab element. I don't know which element it is, but I think it is.
Yeah, but those are all just later problems, right? We just want the
Oh, yeah.
picture on the screen and then click a couple of dots and then build the algorithm.
I mean, we can pretty easily throw
Can you do the
together.
nodes in JavaScript, or how do you do the algorithm?
We have to write our own nodes and graph, that kind of thing.
Nice. So
Some
JavaScript
other-
supports like
Yeah.
making nodes and stuff?
Yeah, you can do object-oriented design. That's what my, that bubble thing I showed off a million times. That one is essentially object-oriented design. I can pull up the code for that, if you guys want to see. Question?
Would we be able to make it like reference your starting position? So if I'm here, it'll like flip the map and say, would that be?
You can if you really believe.
If you figure out how to do GPS, that's the trick. The way that the ARC team did it is pretty easy because you start from two drop downs, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, cool. It's just you have set locations around campus, and then you just have a list of them that you select from. That's easy. That's just an array of strings, and then you use the string that the user selects. But actually referencing where you are in space, you gotta have GPS involved in some way. I'm sure there's a way to do it. I mean, if you guys want to try, we can look into it. It's just, I don't know what it is.
We're getting feature creep, you guys. This is it.
That's how you know it's a real program.
Legit feature creep out the door.
Now, how do we add back into it?
What's that?
How do we add back into it? Did you gotta log into it?
Yeah, we gotta log in to use it. That's what I
never had the
want.
opportunity to link HTML with like a server that's running in a different language.
Probably make Python for that.
That's just a
Authentication
Google
library.
search.
So-
I'm confident I can do it. I just
Anything can do it. JavaScript.
I don't think it's hard.
Right?
I just haven't done it before. So if you guys want to write the back end in a different language, assuming you don't want it to just all run natively in JavaScript, which is perfectly acceptable.
You can do it. You can add a password right in the
I
JavaScript.
mean, browsers are strong enough now that you could just have it all run. I mean, I guarantee you will still only be using a fraction of what Google Chrome itself is using of your hard drive, of your CPU. Google Chrome is so CPU hungry that your little pathfinding website won't even make a dent.
According to some meeting I went to, WebAssembly is the future.
It seems to be.
Real quick to say that something is the future.
Yes, like circle websites.
Yeah, because people have been asking for those. I remember when I took a web dev class way back when I asked those. And it was fun because it was at the end of my bachelor's, so I was by far the most advanced person in the room. So I was writing JavaScript. They were going through a lesson on like, here's how to put an image on the screen. And I'm making the images like spin on the screen. Like I'm like, add rotational force, variable for rotational direction, increment in a loop, and this image is just spinning faster and faster. But either way, I remember they had a story about, because they actually did web development as a job, and they said someone asked them to make a website that's based around a circle, and they were like, how? Your screen is a square. It's like, it just doesn't. HTML doesn't work that way. It's like, maybe you could build inside of the square HTML, you could build a tool like YouTube has that fakes a circle and draws images in a circle, but then you're just not like drawing in the corners of the screen. You're like giving up screen real estate. If you wanted a circle website, invent a circle computer. Use a circle screen. That's easy.
Dude.
What's the most difficult thing that your peers like encounter going through school?
My peers?
Yeah, like you yourself, your classmates.
The hardest thing, you mean at the bachelor level? The hardest stuff was the masters. But in bachelor's level, well,
Like if you want to name a couple.
sure. I struggled, well, this isn't fair. I struggled with internet security because my teachers sucked. They were terrible at it. So I don't know if the actual, I never got into internet security. I wasn't too super interested in it to begin with. It was kind of like it. But the teacher
Work that out.
much worse. I personally struggle with networking. It's just not me. Like, it's something you can do. We have, here at SCC, we have the programming people, we have the networking people, the networking professors. So like, you can go straight into networking, and it's a very lucrative place to be. It just never clicked with me. Probably the hardest stuff that I encountered that was like required was probably operating systems. We talked about multi-thread. We don't have I don't think we have a similar class here at SCC, or maybe we do. It's definitely not a required course.
They have it at Sec State,
Yeah.
the OS class, that's over there.
Yeah, I mean, again, I went straight to a four-year university, so
Yeah.
that was a few years in was when I encountered that.
They
That
have an
was-
OS, they also have a compiler class.
Yeah, I never took compilers.
Did you ever do a research paper?
I never did a research paper. I am not a researcher. I got out before I had to do any real research. More power to you if that's your thing, but it's just not my thing. One of the greatest blessings of the computer science field is that there's basically zero writing requirements. That's my weakness. Computer science and math are my strength. Writing is my weakness.
Do they have research in math? Because I do eventually want to get a master's in math.
I got out of math right as right as that about when they started asking me to do research. So it really was that case. It was I went through math enough to get just the sort of the combo degree math computer science. To get just a pure math degree, I would have had to do some research. I would have had to do like a
Did everyone sign up?
a tiny thesis. I don't remember if they called it a thesis, but I would have to do research. And I was like, no thank you, I'm done. It's like,
Did you take enough math so that right now you would be able to go into like AI?
oh yeah, I mean, I understand the math.
Who's the unique
The thing I was smart enough in math, I didn't have advantage.
Bro, Alex,
You know how crazy it is? It's like, oh, math is 1 + 1 and 2 + 2, and then they start adding letters into it. I was at the point where math had completely
it's actually
like, seriously, one of the
Why
last
did
things I
it
did
fit?
in my math class was prove that the number 1 is the number 1. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done. It's like this is theoretical.
Thank you.
This is beyond practical application.
Yeah.
I got through discrete math, I got through linear algebra, I got through matrices, I got through set theory, I got through all the important stuff that relates to computer science. It's the super theoretical stuff that I failed. I jumped ship.
But isn't like the higher end of math just a bunch of symbol, like no number anymore?
Yeah,
No more numbers.
you eventually reach a point in math where you're basically just writing papers. It's proofs. You guys know proofs? If you were going to take 440, you would learn proofs. At least for me, proofs are inevitable. But you're not even doing math. You're just proving that math itself works. That's a hard thing to do, but that's what we do. So
Have you ever used the game dev?
a little bit.
Gee, looking forward to that?
When it comes to game dev,
You looking
I
forward to that?
mean, basic programming knowledge will get you very far. If you want to jump in fast, you learn one of the engines. You learn Unity or GameMaker or something. But like, you see professional, games use these engines, right? Unity especially, Havoc, also commonly uses that. I mean, you can see big names using like gaming like this. And they're more indie, but even like RPG Maker. it's like, for some
Yo, Alex, what's R?
Yeah. So,
What's R?
R?
uh,
What do you mean?
So I mean, if you really want to get into game dev,
What's R?
game dev, you really want
The
to
language.
learn how to make those work,
I was
and
thinking
in
old,
the process,
kind of old language.
like you will learn the code needed to make it work. If you want to learn
Like
Unity,
stats.
if
I think
you
it's really
really
good.
want to learn Unity, you'll learn C#. It'll just come naturally because you'll learn C#
I think it's more
as
data
it's
science.
useful to you, as it's
Not
useful to
Rust,
you
no.
models.
No.
The hardest thing for game dev, and the thing that stopped me from really getting into it, is you need an artist. You need someone who knows how to do art, you need someone who knows how to do models.
Not no more, you don't. Got him.
Yeah, you could.
They use AI now.
It's not even AI, there's freebooting, the asset flips is what I call them, right?
Reverse engineer.
So I mean, if you want to get into game dev, you don't need to be an artist. You use prefab stuff. But if you want to really,
You are correct. Stats.
you have to have, being a programmer is just one part of it. You also have to have an artist. You really should have someone on sound and music, and somebody. This could be a job that one of those three have, but if not, you'll need someone to supervise and design. Like game design and game programming are not the same thing. So I think you see the solo game devs out there. There's a lot of good games created by 2-person, 3-person, 5-person, 10-person teams. You guys know No Man's Sky?
Yes.
It was originally like 12 people. It should have been an indie game. They hyped it way too big, and that's why it won at first. I've heard it's good.
On a patch.
No Man's Sky?
Yeah,
I never played that. That's the one, the space one, right?
yeah. Supposedly very good now. They just released expansions.
What was the one? It was so popular, and then people found out it was just a bunch of switch cases.
Oh gosh.
Robbery
I think I know what
Industries?
you're talking about.
That's all of them.
It's
Alex.
it wasn't a big it was a cult game. It was a streamer game.
It was made by one person.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like it's a anime.
Is it?
Yandere City.
Exactly.
It's Yandere City. I remember that. And so they tried to get a second person on there to refactor the code, and they were like, "What is this?" And then the original dev was like, "Don't change it." And it was like, "Okay." And then supposedly the drama ensued from there. But
I remember I saw a code review of that game, and the guy was complaining that he used a bunch of switches instead of doing like a switch case. He used a bunch of alt ifs. But then like later looking into it, like that doesn't matter, it's just as efficient. This switch case is like from 30 years ago or something, dude.
yeah, it's yeah.
The
That's
if
not
alt
what would have
ifs
made it
were
more
just as
efficient.
fast.
What would have made it more efficient is functions.
Oh no, I was talking about Undertale.
Undertale. No, Undertale.
That was
Toby
it.
Fox knows what he did.
He said, someone said, 1,000+ long case switch statements.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
all the different text options.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean-
Well,
Well,
the
here's
first
the
game
thing.
didn't know programming.
Here's the
This is
thing, like, how many millions did he make? It's like, you can make you can make a game too. It's just, you can do it. Like, it's not as hard as it seems. The hard part is the art. Everybody in this room can already do the
The
program.
hard part is making it.
Yeah, and the hard, and convincing, motivating yourself.
It's actually going on, like this Toby character just did it, what is Mathland, dude?
Yeah, so it's like, you can get into it. It's like,
You
it's,
just make the game.
Some controversial stuff.
Yeah,
You can just make the game, bro.
It was on the crypto scheme.
Just make it.
Just make the game.
Make it in Unity first.
You don't doesn't have to be, you just make the game. This
Exactly.
argument of how to make it, just make the game.
a Q&A.
Oh my god, it's a 2000 switch.
That's it.
Yes,
That's
dude.
next time.
We shut it out?